Hi and welcome to Dog Breath Games. I'm Lee Kress.
And I'm Zula Kress.
And this is episode 2, how to make prototype cards at home. So this is just going to provide general techniques for those of you making board games at home on how to make cards that work well. I often find when making prototype games and showing them to people, especially if it has a lot of cards and they've got to shuffle them and deal with them, if it's a badly made card and they have trouble shuffling and handling them, it detracts from the game. And then afterwards, when you ask them their opinion, I wouldn't say it's hard for them to give to get past that, but it is something that hinders their enjoyment of the game. Constantly frustrating, with the bad cards. So we're just going to provide some techniques that we've used or that we've known people that have used to make great cards at home, and then we'll also talk about some techniques from other people, and also provide some links on where to do this at home. I mean, not at home. Where to do this, get this professionally printed places, and there are quite a few places out there on the web that provide that service now. So the techniques we're going to show is just putting on business cards, which is real simple, using the card protector technique, and then laminating them. And then we'll talk about some other ways. But Zula?
The first thing you talked about was business cards, and this is probably the simplest. You can just print out on, these are some that we've done that way. It's kind of like Monopoly. So cards that are just sitting on the board, you're gonna pick one up and you're gonna read it, you're gonna do what it says, put it back down. It's not gonna be held in your hand, fanned out, or shuffled a lot, because any wear and tear and they can rip pretty easily. So you can just buy perforated business cards and print them out on your printer. And
these were from a game I made in junior high, both these sets. Well, this one was junior high, that was elementary school. So kept them, and they've still been around.
Kids can even do it.
Yeah, there you go. Kids can even do it.
The second way to do it is to get card protectors, which most gamers know about. They're easy to shuffle, they can be held in your hand, they can be dealt easily, and it's also an easy way to do it. So you just get heavy cardstock, which some of these are a little heavy cardstock.
This is kind of the example I did. This is a sample prototype from Empires of Zadal, and this is kind of how I laid it out for my home prototypes, 8 to a sheet.
And these are standard poker size cards.
Yeah.
And then you can use Photoshop, or everybody's usually got some sort of program that they like the best, to print out your graphics on your cards. And yeah, like you said, you can fit, what, 8 cards?
Yeah, 8 to a sheet.
On a sheet. And then once they're printed, you'll cut them out very carefully on the edges and slip them into your protectors.
Yeah, and they handle well. They shuffle well enough, I would say. And it depends on the card stock you use too. Heavier stock will make cards that I guess are more real.
And a lot of gamers we know use protectors on even their professionally made cards. So a lot of people who have games already have the protectors, so you can just use them to make your own.
And then the final technique, and this is the one I pretty much use exclusively now, is to laminate them. I've got this laminator here that my brother-in-law actually gave me. It's pretty old, but it still works really well. And they sell anywhere from $30 to $100. Actually, you can go up to $1,000. Just depends on how much you want to spend.
This is a really cheap one.
Yeah, this one here was probably 50 bucks or something. So it does take some upfront money if you're going to do that. But since I make so many games, this really comes in handy. I use this a lot. And basically, all I do is use regular computer paper, just 20-pound paper. And print it off like I showed you before for the other technique. Here I've got a different set of 8 cards. Now because it's going to be laminated, you're going to see the back of the cards as well. So on the back of this, I've printed the back sheets of the cards. And so this is just a separate graphic. Again, 8 cards. And I just run it through the printer twice. And again, this is just regular paper, pretty flimsy. The trick here is you want to make the back of the cards bigger than the front of the cards, because when you run it through the paper twice, or run the paper through the printer twice, it always shifts a little bit. So even if you perfectly match it up in Photoshop, it's going to shift when you print it. So I have this, you know, you can tell obviously there's white edges around here and there's no white edges on this side. And that's really big because when this shifts, then you cut it out and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And then basically once that's done, I just I've got this laminating heat sheets I use. It's the 3 mil thick. That's the thinnest they make. You can go thicker, 5, 7 mil if you want a thicker card. But it ends up working great. So these are a deck I made, laminated, feels great, great thickness. You can see the back. You know, you can do shuffle with it really well. You can even do riffle shuffles. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that. And we did
we used this deck to do all the playtesting for Zadal, which was, I want to say 30-40 games worth of playing, and you shuffling constantly, and they're still in great shape. None of them have split or had any problems. So you're going to be able to use those for a long time.
Yeah. So again, print it out like this, and then put it in the hole. Put this whole sheet in the pouch. Put it through your laminator, and then cut it out. And use the lines on this side as your guide, and you don't really need to worry about this back side because you've made it slightly bigger. You know, the shifting doesn't really matter as long as it doesn't shift too terribly much. So those are the 3 techniques that we've used in the past that we like to use. And Zula's going to tell us a little bit about professionally printed cards. A lot of websites offer that service now.
Yeah, another thing that we found were several websites that do professional printed cards. So you can go to a website like the Game Crafter, and what you do is you upload your graphic to them, and they will professionally print it for you. And on Game Crafter specifically, a set of cards, they will print as low as 1 set of cards for you, volume-wise, and they'll do a poker-sized deck, and it's only 9 cents a card. So that's not too bad at all. Another company...
We haven't ever actually tried that.
Yeah, so we can't...
Professionally printed, I don't know.
We don't know how
wonderful
that is.
Yeah, I guess I have played games from the Game Crafter, and it's pretty good. So definitely worth a shot, I think. Yeah.
Another one we found was, I'm sure the links will show up at the bottom or at the end, www.makeplayingcards.com, and they do poker-sized cards at 22 cents a card for a deck of 54, and then they get cheaper. Depending on how many decks you're buying.
So more decks, cheaper it gets. More cards in the deck, the cheaper per card it is.
Then there were other ones like drivethroughcards.com, printplaygames.com. Drive-through cards sells the card games you make to other people through the site, so you don't have to sell it.
It's kind of, you can set up to sell, which Game Crafter does as well, but Playthrough Cards is just another option. I think they specialize in card-only games. And
we'll have those links for you if you want to look up any of those. But again, we've never used any of these because we found ways that work great for us. So you'll have to test them for us if you want. So these are, you know, if you don't, I mean, obviously, we did a card game, a card deck building game, and that's a lot of cards. A lot of people don't want to put in that much work to make a game, so this is another option, definitely.
Yeah. If you've got, if you've made a game but you don't want to actually physically make the game, then yeah, professionally producing it through one of these sites, I think would be a very good option. Mm-hmm. The last thing we're going to talk about is a few other techniques. So in preparation for this episode, we kind of searched the web a little bit for other people providing card making techniques. And we found, I think, 2 noteworthy ones. One that comes from the Homemade Game Guru, who has a channel on YouTube. I'm not going to explain in depth his technique because it is his technique, so I think I'll just tell you a little bit about it, and if you're interested, you can visit his web tutorial, which is linked below. Basically, it involves printing two sides, like this is printed, on separate paper, on glossy paper, and then gluing them back together, back to back, up against a window or something, so you can get it perfectly lined up how you want it. And he's got special glue and stuff he uses, and then cutting it out. So I think that's probably a good option. I haven't tried it. Another one comes from a, who was the other guy? Nick Hayes at Board Game Geek. Kind of the same technique, except he uses linen paper and has some other, maybe uses different glue or something, I'm not sure. But again, puts them back to back. And so I guess it depends on the kind of feel you want. If you want the glossy feel, you can try the homemade game glue method. Or if you want the linen paper feel, you can try Nick Hayes' method, which is posted on Board Game Geek and is linked to below. So that was episode 2. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully if you're making cards or want to make cards at home, you kind of now have a direction to go. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Yeah.